Hey, good morning, everybody. We're getting started here. That music down. All right, let's get the camera on here. Ta-da! Hey there, hi there, ho there. So we're getting ready to get started. Chapter 7, I think it is. Organized planning. I know it's organized planning. I think it's chapter 7. I think we're session 3. Organized planning. Yes, chapter 7. We're on page 180. And this conversation isn't just about having a dialogue of Think and Grow Rich. It's about actually creating the structure for you to see the secret, for you to become rich, for you to have access to the things that are necessary to find the secrets inside of the book. That's what this is about. So let's do this real quick. Instagram. Go live. There we go. All right. So we finished up with the last session. Well, hey, good morning, Instagram. The coal operators and their employees drove sharp bargains with one another, adding the cost of the bargaining to the price of the coal until they finally discovered they had built up a wonderful business of manufacturing. Hey, Monique, manufacturers of oil burners. So one of the things is that sometimes, Einstein said this. Einstein said, make everything as easy as possible, not easier. Sometimes we try to make things easier. We try to make things more sophisticated, more complicated, and we wind up making it more difficult. Does that make sense? And in doing so, we wind up giving our competition a chance. So what's your competition? I get it. You don't have competition. You're unique. You're an individual. You're amazingly incredible. You have your own fingerprint. Here's your competition: fear and doubt. Every one of us has the competition of fear and doubt. And when you understand that fear and doubt is your competition, not somebody else's comp plan, not somebody else's product, not somebody else's key ingredients or flagship product or management team or their upline or their whatever, your competition is fear and doubt. Period. End of story. Fear and doubt. And if your conversations are activating their fear and doubt, a little bit of hydrogen water. Louise, I don't know if you're able. I've made you a co-host. So if somebody pops in and you see them waiting in the waiting room, you might see them as a co-host.
Happy to do it.
Yep, you can let them in. That'd be awesome. So that being said, your competition is fear and doubt. And what they're coming to you for is faith and courage. And we've talked about this in other trainings. I'm just telling Instagram. One of the things we've done is we've taught people how people activate their objections. They're actually protection levers. And we'll talk more about that in another thing. So nothing widespread. So I'm just continuing on. I'm actually reading my notes, kind of giving you where I found the secrets of where the content is and the context is in this information. Nothing as widespread and effective as the Depression could possibly be just a coincidence. Right? If we look at the climate of humanity today in just the US, I can't speak to international markets. I haven't been traveling that much lately. I can speak to the US market. Would you say that there's a theme, that there's an energy that's going on that's happening based upon people's thinking? Right, wrong, or indifferent. We're not talking about who's right, who's wrong, what's this, what part. Would you say that based upon what you've seen in the environment inside the US, that it's based upon people's thinking, right? And if you become aware of that, if you allow yourself to become the reporter, right, on simple understanding of the current environment is based upon people's thinking. So if that's the case, Joe Dispenza would say, do your thoughts influence your day? Sure they do, right? So the depression wasn't just a coincidence. Behind the depression was a cause. Nothing ever happens without a cause. In the main, the cause of the depression is traceable directly to the worldwide habit of reaping without sowing. Isn't that interesting? This should not be mistaken this should not be mistaken to mean that the depression represents a crop which the world is being forced to reap without having sown. The trouble is that the world sowed the wrong sort of seed. Any farmer knows he cannot sow a seed of thistles and reap harvest of grain. Beginning at the outbreak of the World War, the people of the world began to sow the seed of service, inadequate in both quality and quantity. Nearly everyone was engaged in a pastime of trying to get without giving. I think one of the challenges that happens in today's with social media is that people think they're giving quality, they think they're giving quantity, and they're not. Yet, in not giving quantity or quality, they think they should be getting something in return. And they say things like, well, I'm doing the work. Joe Dispenza would say, your thoughts create your personal reality, or your personal reality creates your thoughts. Which is the one you're focused on? Where are you giving? What do you think you're supposed to be sowing? Those illustrations are brought to the attention of those who have personal services in the market. This was back in 1937 when this book was written, where you would go sell your personal services as a salesperson, as a secretary, as a stenographer, and you would sell why you are better. That was what this was talking about. The illustrations are brought to the attention of those who have personal services to market to show that we are where we are, and we are what we are because of our own conduct. That kind of rings true today as well. We are what we are, and we are where we are because of our own conduct. If there's a principle of cause and effect which controls business, finance, transportation, the same principle controls individuals and determines their economic status. What is your QQS rating? Let me give you a little definition of what QQS is. Quality, quantity, and spirit. So I have written on the side some of my notes. What are you getting? What did you give for what you got? If you're getting debt, what did you give for what you got? If you're getting riches, what did you give for what you got? If you're getting happiness, what did you give for what you got? Right? This is the story of if for those of you that know Jim Rohn, the story of the birds and the sower, the birds and the seed. Right? You're going to cast some seed, and the stones are going to get some, and the path is going to get some fertile ground is going to get some, but it's going to be shallow. The birds will get some. You got to sow quantity. And if you're going to sow quantity, it's good to show quality, right? The causes of success in marketing services effectively and permanently. See, there's another keyword. See, one of the things I'm working on a 5-day challenge of the Think and Grow Rich book. It's a 5-day challenge. It's going to be 15 hours, 3 hours a day, 5 days in a row. And in that time, I'm going to give you a companion book, kind of like Science of Getting Rich has a companion book. This book, The Science of Getting Rich, this was, I don't know if Bob Proctor created it. I think he did. But this is the companion book. And at the end of each chapter are some dive deep questions. I'm creating the Think and Grow Rich Secrets of the Riches workbook. And that's going to be part of the 5-day challenge. Okay, that's another story. My point is that it says here effectively and permanently. A lot of us do effectively and temporarily. A lot of us do effective presentation, effective skills, effective sales, and it's done with the idea and the thought of it being temporary. We don't want it to be temporary. It's why we complain. It's why we have challenges. It's why we get upset. It's really being temporary because it doesn't consistently last. We're not focusing on the permanent. This is what Wallace D. Waddell says. It's not about doing certain things. It's about doing things in a certain way. You are doing things in an effectively temporary way, not an effectively permanent way. Got to ask yourself, if you're in the leverage business of network marketing, MLM, mentors leading mentors, and you have people who come and people who go and people who come and people who go, you are doing a temporary leadership, an effectively temporary leadership job. That's the key. How do we create a success that is effective and permanent, not effective and temporary? Every person must be his own salesman of personal service in quality and quantity of service rendered and in the spirit in which it's rendered. That's the Wallace D. Waddell's. It's not about doing certain things. It's about doing things in a certain way. That's the key part there. So the QQS formula is quality plus quantity plus proper spirit of cooperation equals perfect salesmanship of service. Now, Zig said sales is what? Transference of enthusiasm. We are all in sales. You may not be getting paid for it. If you are trying to convince and help somebody understand or move them into a different process, move them into a different line of thinking, what do you want for dinner? Ooh, I would like Chinese. Ooh, I would like Italian. And then the sales begins, the transference of enthusiasm. You're always in sales. We're always in sales. We're always selling something. Let's analyze the formula so that we can understand it better. Quality of service shall be constructed to mean the performance of every detail. You ever hear somebody who says they sweat the small stuff? I was watching an interview of the CEO. What's it called? The gentleman from Europe. He does. It's called the CEO something. I'll think of it in just a second. And yet, when he does the interview, while the program is going on, somebody is taking pictures, printing them off, writing down particular quotes, and they get a leather-bound photo album of the event that says the CEO podcast. I know it's not that. And with their name on it, the diary of the CEO. Thank you so much. The diary of the CEO. And it's with their name on it, leather bound, right? Because they can create it already. They know weeks in advance who's coming. So they create the leather bound 3-ring binder, and inside are just ascertained folders with photos of the interview from different shots, different places, right? Because it's digital, they print it out. Written quotes from the interview that were pretty spectacular. And when they leave, they hand it to them. Now that's sweating the details. That's sweating the small stuff. My question to you is, what does somebody leave when they have a conversation with you? What do they leave with? Do you believe that your conversations, the quality, listen carefully, QQS, the quality of your conversations bring value to the other person? I just want you to think about this for a second. And I believe they do. I'm not saying that you need any help with quality of your conversation. There might be a tweak here and there. For the most part, you're getting by in life. You're doing well in life. The quality of your dialogue, if it's worth remembering. Now I'm going to give you a little brain science. If your conversation is worth remembering, when you have a dialogue with somebody, you will activate the synaptic connections in the brain and go from 1300 to 2600. You will double their ability to pay attention to your conversation. The challenge is if it doesn't get repeated, fear and doubt show up. The brain is constantly looking for a way, will this kill me? Or how fast can I recognize the pattern? And if it's something new, it's different to the brain, to the formula, to the hedonistic formula that's currently running in the brain. So therefore, it activates all of these synaptic connections so that it can pick up what's necessary, what might be a threat to it, Do you realize that every goal you set is a threat to your current day? Every goal you have, if you want to drink more water, it's a threat to your dehydrated self. If you want to exercise more, it is a threat to your dehydrated self. You want to lower your sugar, it is a threat to your sugar abundance body. Say it isn't, right? Say it isn't. It is. So when you talk about the quality, here's my point. What do you leave them with so they can remember the quality of it? Do you leave them to get into their car, to get off their Zoom and go have a conversation with themselves that says, well, yeah, but that's not me. That's not me. Really? So that's quality. Quantity, the service shall be understood and mean the habit of rendering all the service of which you are capable at all times with the purpose of increasing the amount of service rendered as greater skill is developed through the practice and experience. Emphasis is again placed on the word habit. I've been doing this for 6 years now. 6 years. Coming up December will be 6 years. I'm in my 6th year now. My goal is to continually the habit of bringing you more, giving you more, hoping you have more. Could you imagine if I did this the same way I did my first event, my first podcast, some 2,500 and some odd, maybe 2,600 shows ago? And then the spirit of service shall be construed to mean the habit of agreeable. Here, this one, somebody circle that. Somebody say agreeable, harmonious conduct, which induce cooperation from associates and fellow employees. You know, one of the things that's a challenge is when somebody wants to be right. Somebody wants to be right. Suggestion. You ask somebody, you have a conversation with somebody and they want to be right as a versus cooperation. They want to have, this is where the 6 layers of humanity, right? This is where Tony Robbins talks about significance, certainty, variety, and what's the 4th one? I'll think of it in a second. Most people operate in significance and certainty. Right? You ask somebody to, hey, listen, what are your thoughts on this? Oh, I don't have any thoughts on that at all. Well, that's not what I asked. That's not a cooperation of harmonious conversation. It's a clue when you want to talk to somebody about your wellness product and somebody says, well, I use the Walmart brand. God bless them for thinking that it's going to work. God bless them for saying, I want better in my life, versus us saying, oh, well, those things, then none of that stuff works. That's not harmonious. That's not harmonious. Somebody wants to travel. They say, well, I use Expedia. Oh, well, ours is so much better. No, thank them for wanting to travel. They're looking for discounts. That is your perfect customer. The spirit of harmonious conversation, then you get to add the quality and the quantity of your conversation. Why would you ever tell somebody what they're doing stupid? It's producing them a result. The question is that the best result they feel that they are deserving? Most people would say, 99% of the people would say, no, I deserve more. Awesome. Would you like to get more? Yes. What does that look like? I don't know. If I could show it to you, would it be fair? Would it be okay for you to be agreeable with that? If I show you something you've never had, maybe you've never seen the thing that you're looking for before. Oh, well, yeah, maybe that's okay. That sounds, because if they knew what they wanted, wouldn't they be going for it? But if they know what they want and they haven't seen it, isn't it a chance they wouldn't know it if you showed it to them? That's the spirit of harmonious conversation. Capital value of your service. Nothing, however, can be successfully substituted for pleasing conduct. Isn't that true? A person whose income is derived entirely from the sale of personal services, that's what most of you are doing, You're in the side gig business, you're in the small business, you own your own business, you're selling your personal services, whether it's wellness, training, whatever it is, the company, the network marketing company you are offering, those are your personal services that you've partnered with a company to help represent. Personal service is no less a merchant than a man who sells commodities, and it might be well added, such a person is subject to exactly the same rules of conduct as a merchant who sells merchandise. Thank goodness for the FDA, right? For the most part, the FDA to make sure our food is good by the people who manufacture it. You know what we should have? We should have a SDA, a selling department of association, and that people need to understand. People should really be have to go through the SDA. I just made that up in order to talk to somebody. If you're going to go sell something, you should be trained in it. Most people are never trained in it. That's why ignorance on fire, people who don't know what they're talking about, seem to get a lot more business. The day of the go-getter has passed. It has now been supplanted by the go-giver. I spoke in China with a gentleman who wrote the book, The Go-Giver. Right? He spoke on the main stage to 5,000 people. I spoke to the six-figure and above income earners for a day. And we were both in China at Tiansu the same time 7 years ago. Yeah. High pressure methods in business finally blew the lid off. There will never be a need to put the lid back on, because in the future, business will be conducted by methods that require no pressure. Isn't that so true? So we'll go through this. The 30 major causes of failure. 30. Now, in a book where printing was expensive, printing these books back in 1937, it was expensive. Typesetting, doing all of that. Consolidation and conciseness was the key. Do you think they had more than 30 major causes of failure? I think they did. I think Hill narrowed it down after speaking to 500 people, narrowed it down to these 30 major ones, right? Unfavorable heredity or background. Lack of a well-defined purpose in life. One of the things I'm doing is coming up in October is a 5-day challenge on building your DMP. And it's going to cover each of the chapters in the book. Now, yeah, we're going to be touching iceberg hopping because of the conversation. Yet if you want to be a part of that, it's going to be, there's no fee to come to attend it, to watch it live on YouTube or Facebook or wherever it's going to be posted. And it's going to be 15 hours. That's a lot. I want you to have a 2026 you only dreamed of. And I'm going to help you craft and create your DMP in 15 hours. It's going to be powerful, right? You'll be able to have access to the recordings if you choose to be a part of that program as well. But this is going to be, it's going to be a pinnacle moment, right? And it's good to start now for your 2026, because 2026 is already here. Love you tons, Instagram. I'm going to go have a conversation with my VIPers, and we'll see you where? At the next event. Thanks, Instagram. Love you tons. Have a great day. Hey guys, how are you? Oh, did I ever go to, I think I went to YouTube. Let's see here. Yep, we're on YouTube. YouTube, love you tons. 5-day challenge. Drop a DMP in the chat and I'll send you the information.